We're getting a clue about what could be coming in the case of a former sheriff accused in the murder of a Southeast Kentucky judge found shot inside his courthouse chambers. 6 News anchor Lori Tucker brought in WATE legal analyst Greg Isaacs to help understand the direction this case could be heading.
Greg, thank you for joining us.
Lori, it's good to be here.
This was a shocking crime in several ways beyond the courthouse crime scene, and that the suspect was a lawman. He and the victim were both leaders. This is a small community. They knew each other well. And now, Greg, there is talk of the insanity defense. What's behind that?
Well, this case has shocked Eastern Kentucky and is now gone national. The sheriff, after a high-profile political luncheon, was summoned to chambers to Judge Mullins, apparently kills him in cold blood in his own office, and it gets more bizarre by the day.
So many things. First of all, it was caught on security video, so they have that, but they don't have the whole thing.
They don't. And what's very interesting is Sheriff Steins had been a bailiff in Judge Mullins' courtroom. They had worked together, were colleagues. 2018, he successfully ran for sheriff of Letcher County. Then you have a sex scandal. Allegations that one of the new bailiffs for Judge Mullins was running, and these are their words, not mine, a brothel out of his chambers in the courthouse. Apparently, Sheriff Steins gets sued for failure to train his employees, and it's anybody's guess what happened that day to prompt the elected sheriff to kill the circuit court judge who had been there since 2009.
Now, we've talked about this in other cases. Pleading insanity doesn't often work. So what would it take to prove that here?
It's a tough road in Tennessee. Only 2% of insanity defenses prevail if you go to a jury trial. Basically, Kentucky law is similar to Tennessee. You would have to prove two things. One, Sheriff Steins was suffering from a substantial mental disease or defect. And second, because of that substantial mental disease or defect, he could not appreciate the wrongfulness or nature of his conduct when he pulled the trigger and killed Judge Mullins.
Now, what's the difference between, say, a mental break and a long-standing mental issue?
Probably 52 years in jail, because
wow.
it doesn't cut it. And it's also very interesting in an insanity case, the burden flips to the defendant, and instead of the state requiring to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt, you have to prove your client's insanity by clear and convincing evidence. It's your burden. Also, to make things even more complicated, the prosecutors are floating out that they may ask for the death penalty. This is a capital case when an elected official is killed. So it's going to be very interesting. But Lori, you know, I would also venture to say you're going to see a change of venue. How in the world would you have a jury when they know just across the hall in the judges' chambers there was a horrific homicide, allegations of sex, but a very riveting case in Eastern Kentucky? Yeah,
we'll be watching this for sure. Greg, thank you.
And if you have a legal question, you need to send it to AskIsaacs@WATE.com. Remember, we talk with Greg every Wednesday at 5:30 right here on Channel 6. For a deeper conversation, be sure to tune into WATE.com at 2:30.